Trade Ministers meeting. I welcome the host of this G7 meeting, Vice Chancellor of Germany, Minister Robert Habeck, and a very warm welcome, and it's a great honor to welcome here the Vice Prime Minister of Ukraine, Yulia Sviridenko. Welcome. The floor is to Minister Habeck.
Okay, the mic is open. Good morning, everyone. We started our meeting, our G7 meeting yesterday evening with a long and intense discussion with my dear colleague, Vice Prime Minister of Ukraine, Yulia Sviridenko, and all the other G7 ministers. And let me start, dear Julia, with a personal and political remark. When I was visiting Ukraine 2021 in May, I experienced and came to know a country that was vibrating with hope, and young people in Kiev all over the street, a lot of dynamics, also economic dynamics. I have visited Dnipro, the old steel town in Ukraine, now transforming. Then I was in Mariupol, and I have seen the steel and coal sites not really in transformation, but the possibility was always there. So I saw the economic potential in your country and the dynamic to develop this economic potential. And then the war happens, and everyone in Europe, I think worldwide, holds his or her breath. And then after now months of fixed frontiers, you gave the world hope again. The bravery of your army and the mood of your people is astonishing. And the success on the battlefield is not only a chance for military victory, but it's also a chance to see a horizon in these dark times. So I think what you are doing in your country is overcoming the period that was throwing Europe and your country back into the darkest times we had in Europe. So my personal feeling is that after weeks where you were in a way in the mood of how this can come to an end, you now can see that it could come to an end, and to come to an end with victory for freedom and democracy. And this is because you, your people, your army fight with such a bravery. So with this spirit, all of my colleagues, the G7 ministers, and also the German government and the German people stand with strong solidarity with Ukraine, and not only solidarity in the moment, giving you financial and military support, but developing a future for Ukraine, seeing how trade and business and commercial growth can be part of the strategy now to be developed. And this is what the meeting was yesterday circling about, finding concrete measures, how we as G7 ministers can find ways to support Ukraine, not only in the concrete moment, the time being, but also for the jobs and for the chances that had to be taken after the war. And I would like to mention 3 concrete points that we discussed yesterday. The first one is that the liberalization of trades and goods, this had been done. The Ukraine had no taxation barriers to Europe, and Europe can import to Ukraine without any restrictions, so they are part of the single market in a way. But this was restricted for, I think, a year. And we discussed, and I'm glad to say that I understood Commissioner Dombrovskis that the EU is open to enlarge this period so that Ukraine can be part of the economic single market. This means also that we try to help, if the help is wanted and needed, to overcome problems in governmental structures in your country, if they are still there. But you explained to us that you make great progress also in fighting corruption in Ukraine. This is very important for the companies of Europe and the world to invest in your country. The second one is that we want to create a financial mechanism that is not really there. I mean, there is, of course, financial support, but for the reconstruction of Ukraine, a lot of money is needed. More money than public money can bring on alone. So therefore, we need an instrument, a fund, in a way that creates a strong and stable opportunity for companies to invest. For Germany, I can say we have the investment guarantees. So if German companies go to Ukraine, invest and lose their money, their investment, then we have a guarantee that this is not in vain. But in other countries, I think all the G7 countries have the same. But this is not what I'm talking about. It's about creating a big global-wide fund with a lot of money to be raised from private investors, banks, hedge funds, whatsoever, to really build up Ukraine and bring on the big amount of money that is to be needed. And the third one is that we all in the G7 world, we have our own commerce chambers. We are trying to do our job with a national perspective. And we discussed yesterday, and I think we agreed on to merge them, to bring the different chambers of commerce together so that we can map the country together, where are the opportunities, that we can monitor how the job can be done, and then we can do the matching. So mapping, monitoring, matching on a G7 level, and this is of course open also to other countries, to bring the companies in your country, and of course getting the goods if you are producing them and you're willing to sell them out of Ukraine, and therefore using trade, as it always was considered, as a method to stabilize and then bring wealth to Ukraine once again. And I think we will work today on and ongoing after this meeting on these three measures. Maybe another one or others come to our mind, but often we sit together around the table as politicians and we talk, and even 30 minutes feel like hours, and you would just only wish you never been there in the meeting. Yesterday it was the complete difference. The protocol came in several times and said, okay, you have to stop now, but we were so engaged in the discussion, it was so open, it was so focused on finding concrete solutions, and also it was in a mood of friendship, not political friendship only, but personal friendship. And therefore, Julia, it's a great honor that you are here, that you joined us, and I hope you can take some strength out of the meeting back to your country. And best regards to the President and to your colleagues, and all the solidarity for the people, for Ukraine.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Habeck. Thank you for this invitation. It's actually it's very important for us to be here, to have opportunity to talk with the G7 countries. And in Ukraine, we're fighting on two fronts, military front and economic front. And it's, all our victories on military fronts encourage us to search for different solutions, how to make our economy run. You're absolutely right. Last year, when you was in Kyiv and Ukraine showed great results, it was record GDP. $2 billion, and it was $6 billion of foreign direct investment, and it seems for us that this year might be not the worst, and we predict for ourselves that it's going to be growth on the level of 4%, but the full-scale invasion war fully destroyed our plans, and now we're focused on the searching of proper tools and instruments how to make our economy run. And I'm very grateful for the concrete discussion that we had yesterday, and for that measures that might be provided by the G7 countries. And you're absolutely right. The first, it's prolonging of the agreements on trade that suspend all quotas and tariffs for Ukrainian goods that was made for 1 year. It seems that there is a political willing to prolong it for a longer period. For us, it's a good sign for our companies to encourage them to enter the EU market. Second thing that we discussed with you, that yes, Ukraine right now starting the reconstruction, as it's a big challenge for us like a government to find a way how to return our muscles and brains, our people back to Ukraine. And to do this, we need to provide them with the proper life conditions, with the workplaces, and of course we need construction companies, we need foreign partners to be engaged, fully engaged in reconstruction process. And the big question that they're rising, and we discussed with you yesterday, it's finding the proper way how to secure their investment in Ukraine, how to secure their activity in Ukraine, how to decrease the country risk they might face in Ukraine. And I think that we will continue to work with our G7 partners to work on the concrete mechanism, how to make it. Maybe it's going to be trust fund, maybe it's going to be fund that you offered like private money, it might go there. But anyway, we will continue work on the insurance from military risk, as it's very essential for companies to encourage them to come to Ukrainian markets. And of course, we also discussed with you that, we would like to remodel the structure of Ukrainian economy and be focused on development on small and medium enterprises. So that's, for us, it's very important also to set up and to enlarge several granting programs for small and medium enterprises, as we now rely on macro-financial aid from our partner, and we are very grateful for that. For this last 6 months, we received around $19 billion. So it gave us the opportunity to keep macroeconomic stability relatively, but anyway, it's stability. And it's very important simultaneously, in parallel, to have opportunity for our business to keep running. And that's why I think that this program, granting programs that we discussed, for example, with our partner from Canada, it might work and help us to enlarge the quantity of small and medium enterprises that can be the core of Ukrainian economy. So we're very grateful for this discussion and hope that we can continue further discussion with our partners and in future, and it will give us economic victory. And our army showed us let's say like miracle sometimes, and I hope that Ukrainian economy as well during the rebuilding and reconstruction can also be named like economic miracle, but with the help of our international partners. Thank you.
So we have time for 2 questions. The first question, Christian Kremer, Thomson Reuters. Second question, Anne Delfs, Bloomberg, and then we have to stop here since we are running out of time.
Good morning. I have a question for Mr. Habeck. We talked about the tax reliefs in the US for electric vehicles this week, and we now have a report that Tesla is changing their battery strategy in Germany and probably suspending investments in Germany in the field of batteries. My question to you, Mr. Habeck, is do you have any indication that Tesla is suspending investments in Germany, or any, like broader speaking, any plans here in Germany?
No, I don't have. As I discussed with Julia yesterday evening, matters of Ukraine and help for Ukraine. So I haven't really looked into that. But as you know, and maybe remember, that Tesla said they didn't want to have state aid. So in a way, this is private business. I have to look into the files when we're ready with the G7 meeting. But I have no deeper information right now.
And second and last question, Anne Delfs, Bloomberg.
Yes, good morning. I have a question first to the Ukrainian minister. The German Chancellor said last night in the discussion about weapons deliveries that the German weapons were decisive in the counter-offensive success of the Ukrainian army. My question would be, would you agree with that? Do you share this vision, or would you say Germany needs to do more in terms of weapons and tanks? And to Mr. Habeck, the same question, would you agree that Germany has done enough so far, or do you see the necessity that Germany will also send tanks like Leopard tanks? Thank you.
I would start with that fact. I think that actually my colleagues also answered that question on weapon supply, and I just would like to tell one thing, that you understand perfectly well that this war is an existential war, and for us it's very important to have assistance of our partners both like macroeconomic finance assistance and weapon assistance, so weapon supplying. So that's why for us we will insist that our partner supplies for the weapon, that for sure, and continue making this, because I think that you're also witnessing with us the results of supplying weapons with the help of our international partners. You saw during the last week that we regained territories, and it's a good results, and this is a common results with our partners. So that's why we continue insisting and hoping that we will receive more aid with weapon and with the finance from all our international partners.
And we will deliver more. And we have done a lot. If you look at the list of the goods, you have to see that some of the high precision weapons were coming from Germany, Panzerhaubitze 2000, and also the Marders had been part of the Ukraine offensive. And if you remember the long way we came in Germany, you will recognize that we always developed our position also on delivering military goods according to the situation on the battlefield. And this is the right strategy, always monitor what is going to happen, what is needed, and discuss this with our partners in the NATO and in the alliance that stands with Ukraine. And this is an ongoing process, and within this process, I know that more weapons are going to come to Ukraine, and depending of the development of the war, of course, also the right weapons.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you, ministers. Thank you for your interest. Thank you.
Thanks.